Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, and welcome back to today's Daf, which is Pesachim Memhei. We are on Mandal Amud base, 6 lines from the bottom of the Amud. And yesterday, Rabbi Yehuda, quoting Rabbi Yehuda, introduced us to a new concept called Heter Mitzaref L'Isser. He was speaking specifically about a Nazir. So the shear of the Isser by a Nazir is a kazayis of wine. Let's say he doesn't have a kazayis. It's only in combination with the Heter that it will have a kazayis. The pasuk says mishras. Even something soaked. You have a piece of bread soaked with wine. You'll mitzaref the Heter with the Isser. So it's partially soaked, and on one side of that slice of bread is completely free of any wine. Just pure bread. We have mitzaref the Heter portion, the bread portion, with the wine, since he ate it all together at once. And if both together reach a kazayis in volume, he is chayiv malchus. And this we learn from the pasuk mishras, to teach us heter and mitzaref l'isser by the nazir. Chachamim disagree, because they use mishras for something else, to teach us tam ki'ikar, flavor, taste, equals substance. It's a different concept. Here you have some water which is wine flavored. So the flavor has been distributed throughout this entire water. It receives the tam of the Isser. That tam is tantamount to Isser, to Ikar, to Mamish. It's as though he's drinking wine. And this concept we learn, according to Rabbanan, from that very same pasuk, Mishras, to teach us that even tam is Ke'ikar. And as Rabbanan told us yesterday, we apply this to Kol HaTorah to all Isur. It's not limited to Nazir. We use a Kal V'chomer to apply to other Isurim as well. So Tam Ki'ikar is universal. Rabbi Kiva learns Tam Ki'ikar from a different Makar. We learned yesterday from the pots of the Goyim, which teach us that the Tam as well is considered like the Isser. Why then would we be concerned with the Ge'ulei Nachem, the flavor being expelled from the pots that the Goyim used? So apparently, says Rabbi Kiva, we learn from their Tam Ki'ikar, and we apply it elsewhere as well. It's not limited to that halacha, it's a universal halacha, Tam Ki'ikar. However, the concept of Heter Mitzaref L'Isser, that's unique to Nazir. According to Rabbi Kiva, we learn from Mishras that Heter Mitzaref L'Isser by Nazir, not by other Isur. So at this point, Tam Ki'ikar is something universal, applied to all Isur. The question is just the Makar. Where do we know it from? According to Rabbi Kiva, from the Ge'ulei Nachem, from those pots. According to the Chachamim, from Mishras. When it comes to Heter Mitzaref L'Isser, then we have a real machlokes in halacha. Rabbi Kiva says we learn from Mishras, because Mishras is available. We use that to teach us Heter Mitzaref L'Isser by Nazir, whereas the Chacham disagree, because Mishras is not available. We need it for the other halacha. Therefore, they don't agree that Heter Mitzaref L'Isser by Nazir. But Rabbi Kiva doesn't apply that concept of Heter Mitzaref L'Isser to other Yisurim. It's limited to Nazir. Says the Gemara, 6 lines from the bottom. Omelei Rav Acha, Breder Rav Avi Rav Ashi. So he asked Rav Ashi like this: why did Rabbi Kiva limit the concept to Nazir? Just as, according to the Chachamim, the concept of Tam Ki'ikar, which is learned from Mishras as well, is applied elsewhere. So why doesn't Rabbi Kiva do the same with Heter Mitzaref L'Isser? Apply it all over. Mid the Rabbanan, from the Rabbanan, Nishma Rabbi Kiva. Let's derive to Rabbi Kiva as well. Just as they applied their halacha elsewhere, why couldn't Rabbi Kiva apply his chiddush of Heter Mitzaref L'Isser to any Isser? Milei Amir Rabbanan. Didn't the Rabbanan say Mishras? The pasuk Mishras is coming to teach us Lita and Tam Ki'ikar. And it's not limited only to Nazir, despite the fact that Mishras is a pasuk by Nazir. We don't limit it to Nazir. From here, we learn to elsewhere as well. We apply this klal to all halachas. Tam Ki'ikar applies to every Yisr. The Rabbi Kiva Nami, according to him as well. Mishras is coming to teach us Le'atem Mitzaref L'Isser. But why limit it to Nazir? Why can't you apply it to all Isurim? Draw a parallel from Nazir to elsewhere. Amalei Rav Ashi responded. He can't do that. Mishum da'hava nazir v'chatas. Shnei ksuvin haban ke'echad. Because aside from nazir, we have another example in the Torah of heter, which is mistarf le'isr, which is the carbon chatas. The Gemara soon will explain for us. And we know that when the Torah repeats something twice, goes through the same concept twice, there are two ksuvin haban ke'echad, two psukim which are leading in the same direction and teaching the very same halacha. That indicates that you're not meant to apply it elsewhere. Otherwise, the Torah would only mention it once, and then we would apply it elsewhere. The fact that it had to be repeated indicates that it's meant to be limited to only these two instances. It's shnei ksuvim ban ke'echad, ve'im lamdim. And that explains why heter mitzaref le'isr only apply in these two specific cases, nazir and chatas. Now they're going to explain the two cases. Nazir, what is the example of nazir? As we just said, the pasuk of Mishras, with the slice of bread soaked in wine. Heter mitzaref le'isr. What about chatas mahi? Where do we find it by chatas? The sanya. Kol asher yiga b'vsor yigdash. Anything which will touch the basar of the chatas will become kaddish. Perhaps this applies even if the basar of heter didn't absorb anything from the chatas. It only works if the chatas actually imparted some flavor, some tam, went from the carbon chatas and absorbed into the other basar. Then what happens? Yigdash. It becomes kaddish. Liyais kamaya. The basar of heter now assumes the status of the chatas. What does that mean? Shim psulahi the puzzle. If the chatas happened to be puzzle, it was nice or pigel, then the other basar which absorbed from the chatas also becomes puzzle. Vim ksheirahi, if the chatas was kasha, perfectly fine, te'achal kachamishaba. Then the other slice of meat can be eaten, but it assumes the same stringencies as the chatas. Just as the chatas is a carbon, can only be eaten to a kohen and for a day and a night. So that halacha applies to the other carbon, to the other piece of meat as well. So what do we see? That heter mitzaref le'isr. We have a piece of meat which, on one side, happened to touch the chatas and absorb some of the chatas material, but on its other side, it was totally free of any chatas absorption. We say that the entire slice of meat assumes the status of chatas. Even the heter portion in that slice of meat joins together with the issa portion, so we'll regard it as one and the same. So here's your second example of heter mitzaref le'isr. We have two examples, nazir and chatas, and therefore we can't apply it elsewhere. Says the Gemara, v'rabbanan, nami, according to Rabbanan as well, we apply the concept of, not heter mitzaref, but the concept of tam ki ikar, all over. We derive from nazir and apply it elsewhere. According to them as well, Rabbanan nami, navin nazir v'chatas, shnei ksuvim ban ke'echad, ve'im lamdim. Why don't we have two examples, nazir and chatas? And if that's the case, we're going to limit the concept of tam ki'ikar to these two places. Once the Torah repeats it, that indicates they're not meant to extend it and apply it elsewhere. So nazir is an example of tam ki'ikar. And the Gemara is assuming that chatas is also an example of tam ki'ikar. Says the Gemara, Amri. So he said like this, Hanu mitzrich tzrichi. That according to Rabbanan, you could learn from nazir. The tam ke'ikar applies elsewhere as well. Why? Because both these examples, chatas and nazir, are needed for their own sake. Each one is unique and has its own lesson, its own chiddush. And when that's the case, you don't apply the rule of shnei ksuvim ban ke'echad. That's only when you don't really see a need for the Torah repeating it. And then you say, well, apparently the Torah is indicated, keep it local. Keep it limited to these two examples. But when you have a reason why the Torah had to repeat things, each one has its own unique lesson, mitzvah tzrichi, then you're at liberty to apply the concept elsewhere. And the Gemara will tell us why each one is needed. Continues the Gemara, Rabbi Kiva, my tzrichi. According to Rabbi Kiva, who, as we just learned, does not extend his concept of heter mitzaref le'isr to other halachas. And that was because we have two examples. One is nazir, one is chatas, ishnei ksuvim ban ke'echad, and you can't stretch that elsewhere. Therefore, according to him, apparently, you don't say each one is needed. It's merely a repetition. which indicates keep it right here, local. Limit it to these two examples. Don't extend it elsewhere. Rabbi Kiva might tzrichi. Why would they both be needed? Let's say if the Torah would have only said chatas, has the halacha of heter mitzaref le'isur. Okay, like gomer nazir minei. Then I would understand that you can't learn nazir mina. Why? The chulin mekachim like amrina. We can't apply a chumrah that we find by kachim to chulin. It's natural that a carbon is more chamer. So yeah, if the Torah would have said chatas, you couldn't have learned nazir. Also has the halacha of heter mitzaref le'isur. We can't learn that from chatas. But the Torah could have done it in the other way around. El lichtav rachmana ben nazir v'seisi chatas v'tigma minei. The Torah could have written it by nazir, the heter mitzaref le'isur, and then chatas could have learned from nazir. If you find it by ordinary, by non-carbon material, certainly by a carbon. Because as we learned yesterday, all Isurim Shabbat are derived from nazir. See, the Rabbanon applied tam ki'ikar by other Isurim based on nazir. There's nothing to prevent us from learning other Isurim from nazir. So why didn't the Torah just give us the halacha of heter mitzaref le'isur by nazir, and we'll automatically apply it elsewhere? So apparently, the reason why the Torah repeated it again by chatas was to indicate that no, I don't want you to apply it elsewhere. I want it to be limited to these two examples, to nazir and chatas. That explains why, according to Rabbi Kiva, heter mitzaref le'isur will only apply in both these cases and nowhere else. V'Rabbanan. Now the Rabbanan, who say that we can go ahead and learn tam ki'ikar to other halachas, the kasha was, but we seem to have two examples in the Torah, nazir and chatas. Once we have two examples, we can't apply it elsewhere. That's why the Torah repeats it to say, I want it right here and nowhere else. Rabbanan Amrilach, the Rabbanan will respond and say, mitzvah tzrichi. They're both really needed. Why? Chatas leheter mitzaref le'isur. Oh, here we see that the Rabbanan Amaskim, they agreed to Rabbi Kiva in one example, in one case of chatas. If the basar of heter touched the basar of chatas and absorbed, we say heter mitzaref le'isur. So the heter portion of the basar is considered like the isur, has a din like a chatas. And that's the chiddush of the pasuk. Kol asher yigav b'bsara yigdosh by chatas. Heter mitzaref le'isur. So we find only one solitary example, according to Rabbanan, of heter mitzaref le'isur by chatas. It's a carbon, it's more straight, has a different halach. But that's unique to the chatas. V'chulan mekachim like gamar. And of course, we can't go ahead and apply that to chulin, because that's a chumrah applied specifically to a carbon, heter mitzaref le'isur, but not elsewhere. So that's why the Torah speaks about it by chatas. Umishras, the other pasuk by nazir, litein tam ki'ikar. That's coming to teach us that tam is like the ikar. So for instance, if you have some wine flavored water, that water in its entirety is considered like wine. Umikana tadon l'chal Torah kula. And indeed, from nazir you can apply it and extend it elsewhere as well to all other yisurim. Tam ki'ikar is a universal concept. So at this point in the Gemara, regarding tam ki'ikar, that's applied all over. Regarding heter mitzaref le'isur, well, according to the Chacham and Rabbi Kiva, it applies to chatas. What about by nazir? That's strictly according to Rabbi Kiva. Continues the Gemara. Rabbi Kiva, tarvayu leheter mitzaref le'isur. Both psukim, nazir and chatas, are coming to teach us heter mitzaref le'isur. V'havel shtei ksuvim haba ge'echad. Now we have a repetition, two psukim leading in the same direction, teaching us the same thing. And we know that we can't learn when we have two ksuvim teaching us the same thing. So according to Rabbi Kiva, both psukim, nazir and chatas, are available for heter mitzaref le'isur because he learned tam ki'ikar from elsewhere, from the gi'ulei nachram, from those pots. So he has two psukim, nazir and chatas, available to teach us heter mitzaref le'isur. And the fact that Torah bothers to repeat it twice, that indicates that I want it to be limited in those two cases and only in those cases. Continues the Gemara. Elo Desanya. If that's the case, how are we going to understand the Bryce? Mikoil Ashayase, Migefen Hayayin, Mechatzanim Badzag. The Pasuk says that a Nazir must keep away from any wine product, any vine product. Mechatzanim, from the pits, Vadzag, and the skins. The fact that the Pasuk lists everything together, that's coming to teach us. It's like he's eating it once. Chatzanim, Vadzag, what is that coming to teach us? The fact that we have all these examples with one achila, limed al isur nazir shemitzar from zemze. It's coming to teach us that all different types of isurim, all different vine and wine products of the nazir, are mitzar from one with the other. So if he has a half a kazayas of the pit, half a kazayas of the skin, it's going to be mitzar together. That's the Bryce. Says the Gemara. This is Rav Ashi's kasha. Hasha the Rekiva is of heter mitzar. If that's the case, that Rekiva holds heter is mitzar l'isur, so the bread joins the wine to reach a total of a kazayas for the nazir. Isur mebaya is then you need to speak about two items which are asur independently. Of course, they'll join together to complete each other's shir kazayas. Why does the pasuk have to teach us this halacha? Isn't it simple and obvious? Amr lei Sir of Kana respond. There's a big difference. Isur veheter vasachas. Yeah. When Rabbi Yehuda says heter joins the isur, heter mitzaref l'isur is vasachas when he swallowed them both together. It was one ma'aseh achila. So on account of that single act, they become joined, combined, and they complete each other's shir. But isur ve'isur, the two types of isur mentioned in this brayso, b'zachazeh. We're speaking where he ate one and then the other. It wasn't vasachas, one act, one swallow, one chewing. And who says it's going to join together? That's why the Brisa comes and teaches us that even b'zachazeh, if he does it successfully, but it's both isser items, they can complete each other's shir, and if in total he has a shir kazayis, he gets malchus. So conclusion, all agree that tam ke'ikar, if you have something which absorbs the flavor of the isser, we treat it as though it's the isser itself. That applies all over. Applies to all Yisurim Shabbatara. The question only is regarding the source. How do we know this halach? According to the Chachamim from Mishras by Nazir, according to Rekiva from the Geulei Nachem from those goyish pots. What about heter mitzaref l'isur? So you have something which is free of any isur and happens to be eaten together with the isur. All agree that by a chatas we apply that concept. Regarding Nazir or machlekes, according to Rekiva, yes. According to Rabbanan, no. Continues the Mishnah. If we have some dough caught inside the sidkei areva, the cracks and crevices within the walls of the areva, the kneading bowl, which is actually pretty beneficial because it reinforces the bowl, prevents leakage. So does he have to remove that dough before Pesach? If there's a kazayis amount of dough sitting in one spot, that's too big to be considered batel to the bowl, and he has to do bir chametz. Vimla, but if it's smaller than a kazayis, batel b'mi'utay. It's batel due to its minuteness. It's serving a purpose. It's sitting on the wall of the kli, plugging it up, reinforcing it, and being that it's small in size, it's batel. V'chein linyan tumah. Same concept applies to tumah. If we have some dough caught inside the cracks of the bowl, if he's particular about it, he wants to remove it, objects to its presence, then it's not considered one and the same entity as the bowl, chaytzitz. So it creates a barrier between the water and the bowl. However, if he wants it to remain in place, he likes that it's sitting there, it's reinforcing his bowl, then it's considered one and the same part and parcel of the wall of the areva, and doesn't pose a chatzitza concern. So we have two concepts in the Mishnah, one regarding tumah, one regarding bir chametz. And the Mishnah told us that regarding bir chametz, if it's a kazayis, he has to remove it. If it's less than a kazayis, no concern. Now this areva, this kneading trough, this bowl, had three sections to it. There's the bottom, which is meant to support liquid and water, which you're going to pour into this bowl before you start kneading. So the bottom the Gemara call asil lechazik. It's meant to be machzik, to contain, to support the actual liquid. Then we have these sides, which is meant to contain the actual dough once you start kneading it. And then you have the lips, to which no water or dough usually reaches. So where is this Mishnah referring to? Where do you find the dough? Mishnah says a kazayis must be removed. But less than a kazayis, there's no concern. So there are two versions of the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel, lo yishanu. This is that we said in the Mishnah, that a kazayis of dough poses a concern. Where is it located? Where? Which crack? Only if it's sitting in a place where it's not meant to hold the liquid. It's not on the bottom, it's on the sides. But if it's on bottom, where it's meant to support the actual liquid, in which case plugging that hole is very crucial and vital and essential for the functioning of that kli, then it doesn't have to do bir chametz, even if it's a kazayis, because it's bottle. It's functioning as a reinforcement for that bowl. It's part and parcel of the bowl material, and there's no need to do bir chametz. It's bottle to the bowl. So we're speaking about a kazayis, and it depends on its location. If it's properly located, it's bottle. If it's elsewhere, it's not bottle. Says the Gemara b'chlal, apparently, the pachas mikazayis. Let's say it's small in size, less than a kazayis. So you have that element in favor. It's minuteness. In that case, then regardless of where it's located, it's bottle. Afilu b'makim shein asur lechazik eini chayv levar. Even if it's not on the bottom, it's sitting on the side of the kli, it's embedded in a crack on the wall of the kli, you don't have to remove it. So according to this version, it's either or. Either one of these positive elements remove any concern. Either the fact that it's small in size, less than a kazayis, and it's sitting in the crack of the bowl, in which case it's bottled to the bowl, or due to its location. In that case, regardless of its size, even if it's a large sized piece of dough, it's a kazayis or more. But if it's sitting in the bottom of the bowl, in which case it's vital and needed for the functioning of this areva, to support the water, where the water is sitting there and it's going to leak out. So this thing is providing a very, very crucial function and service. It's bottle. So either or is fine. Either small size or properly located. There's another version of Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel that he was referring to the second part of the Mishnah, which says V'im lav batel b'miyotei. If it's less than a kazayis, then it's batel. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel lo yishano. That's only said when it's properly located. So according to this version, you have to have two positive elements: size and location. Lo yishano is only allowed el b'makom she'aseh lechazik, only when it's sitting in a place which is aseh lechazik, meaning the very bottom of the bowl, in which case it's important to reinforce it to prevent leakage of water. So it's small in size and strategically located. But if it's sitting on the side, which is not meant to support the water itself, chayiv levar, beer is required. So according to this version, you need two elements in favor: small in size, and the fact that it's so small that allows it to be bottled if it's really needed. It's on the bottom of the kli and reinforcing the bottom of the kli. Miklal, apparently, the kazayis, if it's large in size, if it has a kazayis, then regardless of where it is, you have to do beer. It can't be bottled. Afilu b'makom asel chazik chayiv, even if it's on bottom, chayiv levar. So in conclusion, according to the first lashon, one favorable element is sufficient, either small in size or properly located. According to the second version, you need to have two positive elements to remove any concerns. Number one, it needs to be small in size and strategically located in a place where it's really needed for reinforcement of the kli. Continues the Gemara, Tanya Kalishna Kama, Tanya Kalishna Basa. We have a brayso in support of both versions. Tanya Kalishna Kama, we have a brayso to support the first version, that even one element is enough, either small in size or properly located. Batzeg shebesitke areva. You have some batzeg embedded in the cracks of the areva. B'malkim asel chazek. If it's on bottom where it supports the liquid and it's really needed, ein chaytzitz. then it doesn't pose a chatzitza, because it's part of the kli. Ve'en over, and he's not over bal yira. U'b'makom she'enos l'chazik. But if it's elsewhere in the kli, chaytzitz va'over, he's chaytzitz and he's over, so you must remove it before Pesach. B'med devar mamurim b'kazayis. This is only pertaining to kazayis. So if you have a kazayis and it's properly located, fine, it's batal. If you have a kazayis which is improperly located, it's not really needed, it's not so essential for the function of the kli, then you have a concern. Aval pachas mekazayis, but if it's small in size, then regardless of where it is located, there's no concern. So it's either one or the other, either on account of its small size or on account of its location. This corresponds to the first version of Rabbi Yehuda Kessler. The Tanya Klishna Basa, the Rabbi said to support the second version, that we need two elements to allow. Batzek shebisit garev, b'makom asel l'chazek. So if it's on bottom, ein chaytzitz ve'ein over. B'makom she'ein asel l'chazek, if it's off to the side, chaytzitz va'over. B'medom amurim. When do we say that if it's sitting on bottom and it's really needed for the function of the kli, there's no concern. That's only if in addition to location, it's small in size. But if it's a kazayis, even if it's sitting on the bottom where it's really needed for reinforcement purposes, it's chaytzitz and it's over. Why? According to this brisa, both elements are required. You need to have something small in size, and only then can it be batal if it's really essential for the function of the kli. If it's sitting on the bottom to prevent leakage of liquids. So again, according to the first brisa, it's either one or the other. Either if it's a small size piece of dough, less than a kazayis, regardless of where it's located, bottom on the side, it's batal to the kli, due to its small size. If it's a kazayis, which is a significant shear, then, well, if it's properly located, it's needed for plugging that hole. If it's on the bottom of the kli, then it's batal. So either location or size. According to the second brisa, you need to have both elements. It needs to be small in size, and only that enables you to be mevatlet if it's really needed at the bottom of the kli. Kashin adadi. So you have a kasha, a steer from one brisa to the other. Which one is it? Amar Huna Sami Kilta Mikame Chamerta. Remove the first brisa, which is lenient, on account of the second brisa, which is machmer. Rabbi Yosef Amar, he says no, both are accurate and substantiated brisas. You know why? They reflect different shittas. Tanoi, shaklas ma'alma. Have you removed all the tanoim from the world? I'll find you tanoim whose shittas correspond to the shittas reflected in these two brisas. One tana will hold that even if it's a large-sized piece of dough, if it's designated for a function other than eating purposes, then it's batal. The other shita will say no. Ekazayis can never be batal. Tanoi. The sanya. Hapash ipsha. Some bread which form mold. Chayv levar. He needs to do bir chametz, even on this, even though it's not really edible. Because it's right to be ground up. To be used to make other doughs into chametz. Used as a leavening agent, like sourdough. That only applies when this chametz was kept for eating purposes. Aval kupas soir. But let's say you have some type of glob of soir, sourdough, so it's really chametz. But he redesignated it for something else, other than eating. Sheyichali yishiv. He designated it for sitting purposes, as a stool, as a chair. Batla becomes batal. So even though it's a large sized piece of chametz, but once you meyachid it for a function other than eating, it's batal. And you don't have to do bir chametz. Now, with the Amar, Rav Shimon Lazar, batla. The fact that he says that it's batal, mechlal Tanakama savar loy batal. Apparently, Tanakama disagrees. If it's a large-sized piece of chametz, it can't just be batal, even though he redesignated it for a different use and different function. Alma kasavar, apparently Tanakama holds. Kol kazayis, if it's a large piece of kazayis, avgav to be batal loy batal, even though he was mevatlet, it became batal. No. It doesn't work, it doesn't become batal. It remains chametz. And there's a chiyuv to do bir chametz. So this is Rabbi Yosef speaking. The brises that we mentioned earlier reflect these shitas. The brisa which says that even a kazayis can be batal if it's properly located in this bowl and serving a reinforcement function is shitas Rav Shimon ben Elazar, who holds that redesignating chametz makes it batal. The other brisa which indicated that once you have a kazayis, it can never be batal. That's a shitas Tanakama. That explains the discrepancy between the brises. Amli Abai. Okay, you've explained one aspect. Tiras took with kazayis. We answered the steer regarding kazayis. Fine. What about the other element, the other steer between the brises? There were two parts in those brises. There was another discussion regarding less than a kazayis. Brisa number 1 maintained that if it's either location or size, that addresses the concerns, right? If you have a kazayis but it's reinforcing, batal. If you have less than a kazayis, even if it's sitting on the side of the bowl, not really serving such a vital function, it's not supporting the water, it's batal. Now, that was in contradiction with the second brisa, which held that when it's less than a kazayis, you need to have it located on the bottom. You need to have two elements, right? According to the second brisa, you have two elements in favor, size and location. According to the first brisa, even size was enough to negate this piece of chametz. Now, you're telling me brisa number 1 is Rav Shimon ben Elazar. That's why even when it's a kazayis, but if it's designated to be used as a reinforcement, it's batal. As Rav Shimon ben Elazar says, the kupas shicht l'shiv is batal. Fine, that's understood. But what about the second element within that brisa? Less than a shear is automatically batal. How do you know that Rav Shimon ben Elazar would concur with that? Even if it's not really serving a reinforcement function, how do you know that he would agree that it's batal? Pachas mikazayis mitaratz. Have you resolved the steer regarding less than a kazayis? Says Abai Ella, Havaha, Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. In fact, both prices reflect the shita of Shimon ben Elazar. And the answer is like this. They're both saying one and the same halacha. Both prices, even though they appear to contradict each other, it's not so. So a bowl, a areva, has 3 parts to it. Right? We explained earlier, it has the bottom, where you pour the water before you start kneading. It needs to support the weight of that water. Then you have the sides, which is going to hold the actual dough when you start kneading it. And then you have the lips, which is not really a place that's meant to support anything. Nor not the water, nor the dough is meant to reach that point. The halacha is going to be like this. Both prices will agree to the halacha. You just have different ways of describing the locations in this bowl. They're using different words to describe the same point in the bowl. But at the end of the day, they're both saying the same thing. And the conclusion is going to be like this. So you have 3 parts to that bowl: the bottom, the sides, and the top. If it's on bottom, where it's really needed for reinforcement, because that's where the liquid's going to be, and you have to prevent leakage, in that case, even if it's a kazayis of dough embedded in the crack, plugging up that hole, it's going to be batal. Because he holds, Shimon ben Elazar holds, that even if it's a large size piece of chametz, but if it's functioning in a capacity other than achila, it's batal. That's on bottom. On top, on the lip, even if there's a crack and some dough filling it, it's no bittul there because it's not really serving a function, it's not batal. Regarding the middle, the sides, which is meant to contain dough but not water, so then if it's a kazayis, it's too big to be batal, just by virtue of the fact that it's serving some sort of function and slightly reinforcing the kli. That won't work. But if it's less than a kazayis, the fact that it's so small and it is serving some type of function, as Rashi explains, you're still preventing leakage of the dough. It's supporting, it's reinforcing the kli to properly contain the dough. So then if it's small enough, it's less than a kazayis, we say it's batal there. So on bottom, even a kazayis is batal. On top, nothing is batal. In the middle, less than a kazayis is batal. And that's agreed upon by both prices. Both reflecting Shitas Shimon ben Elazar. Like Hashem. When the first price says that less than a kazayis, which was embedded in a makom she'ein asa l'chazik. You know what that meant? Ein asa l'chazik means it's not the bottom. It's not the place which contains liquid. Rather, it's on the side. And that's why it's still serving some sort of reinforcement function, and it's batal. It's less than a kazayis. The second brayse which told us that less than a kazayis in a makom she'ein osel chazak is not batal. He wasn't referring to the same place as the first brayse. Ein osel chazak is referring to the place which is not meant to hold anything. The very top, the rim, the lip of the bowl. And that's why nothing is batal there, because it's not serving as a reinforcement at all. It's not needed. So both brayses are saying one and the same halach. They're just describing it in different ways. So once again, we're following Shittas of Shmuel Lazar, who holds that even a large-sized piece of chametz can be batal if it's serving in a different capacity, if it was redesignated for non-eating purposes. Brayse number 1 and brayse number 2, which seem to contradict each other, are both following his shita. That a kazayis, which is properly located on the bottom of that bowl, serving as a proper reinforcement and a very vital, crucial role, that's batal, because it was redesignated for a non-eating purpose. If it's sitting on the side of the bowl, where it's not meant to contain water, just dough, then if it's small enough, it's less than a kazayis, we say, oh, that function is important enough to be batal. If it's on top, on the lip, that serves no function at all. And that dough is not batal. So brayse number 1 said that a kazayis is batal when it's a makom she'asel l'chazik. That meant a place which is meant to hold water on bottom. Less than a kazayis is batal when it's ein asel l'chazik. It meant on the sides, not meant to hold water, meant to hold dough. When brayse number 2 said that less than a kazayis will not be batal when it's a makom she'ein asel l'chazik, brayse meant way above. It's not meant to hold anything up on the lip. Of course, nothing is batal there. And that a kazayis won't be batal when it's asel l'chazik, even when it's asel l'chazik. Brayse meant asel l'chazik dough on the sides, but on bottom, even a kazayis is batal. So the terminology is just a bit different. Each one had a different way of describing things, different ways of applying the word ein asel l'chazik. But at the end of the day, they both agree. Both brayses concur with Shittas of Shmuel Lazar. The place was meant to contain water, even a kazayis is batal. The place is meant to contain dough, less than a kazayis is batal. The place is not meant to hold anything, nothing is batal. Amar Rashi, loy tema, shaloi b'makam lisha. Don't think that when Abaye said that shaloi b'makam lisha, nothing is batal, he meant to say agaba da'agna, on the backside, the exterior of the bowl. Only over there, dough is not batal. Ella sifsa da'agna. Rather, he meant even on the lip. Even dough there is not batal. Pshita, of course. Why would I think that only the back is not batal, but on the lip itself it's batal? Perhaps I would think that even on the lip, it serves some type of function to reinforce the kli, because sometimes zimna, on occasion, the atif of matil hasam, perhaps some dough will rise up to that point and reach even the lip. So even plugging that hole is important, and can be batal kamash malon. That's what Rashi's chiddush. No, even on the lip, it's not considered really batal to the kli. It's not really serving much of a function. It's not something which is regularly used, and therefore is not batal. So in conclusion, we had a machlekes between Shmuel Lazar and Tanakama. If you have a large-sized piece of dough and you redesignate it for a non-eating purpose, according to Tanakama, it's not batal. And Mo's going to tell us soon, unless he did some sort of maisa to indicate that he's redesignating it. But otherwise, it's not batal. According to Shmuel Lazar, it's batal. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rav. So he quoted Rav that halacha k'Rav Shmuel Lazar, that it's batal. Ain't is that the case? That Rav holds like Rav Shmuel Lazar. But Amar Rav Yitzchak Barashi, Amar Rav, he quoted Rav as well, that it's not batal just like that. In tach paneh betit betela. If he smears its face with plaster to enable its use as a chair, fine, then it's batal. Tach in, yeah, if he plastered it, loy tach loy, but if he didn't smear it, it's not batal. Apparently, just by redesignation, it doesn't change its status. So you have a kasha within Rav. We have one quote in the name of Rav that Allah Kishum Elazar, even just designation makes it mutter. We have another Rav that it doesn't. Man the Masniha, the one that taught this version of Rav, didn't teach the other one. There are two versions of Rav, two Amoraim in the name of Rav. One is that we follow Kishum Elazar, even designation is effective. The other one says no, you have to do a Mas. Ikadamri, there's another version, Amar Nachman, Amar Rav. Ein halacha, Kishum Elazar. So even Rav Nachman quoted Rav as saying that the halacha does not follow Hashem Elazar. Redesignation, Yichud alone is not enough. The Amar, Rabbi Yitzchak bar Hashem Rav, it means a raya. Im tach paneh b'tid b'teila. And only through smearing does it become bottle. You need a ma'isa, but just Yichud alone is not enough. Amar Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel. Let's go back to the pieces of dough embedded inside this bowl. So we learned earlier that if you have a kazayis, you have to remove it. But if it's less than a kazayis, don't worry about it. Shnei chatzoi zeisim, v'chud shel batzak minein. Suppose you have 2 half kazaysim of dough, and there's a thread of dough extending from one half to the other. Does that join them together? Do we consider it as a kazayis of batzak? Rashi explains the batzak here sitting on the side of the areva. So if it's less than kazayis, it's batal. So kazayis is not batal. So is this considered kazayis because they're joined together by this chut? Right, we take a look. We evaluate. Kol she'ilu yinot lachut. Let's say you would pick up that thread. If you didn't tell him imay, the other ones, the 2 pieces would come along. That's considered to be one and connected chayv levar. But otherwise, they're considered to be separate pieces in chayv levar. Amar ula, lo yamaran, ela bareva. This halacha, that 2 separate half kazesim pose no concern, that's only when it's sitting inside the crack of a areva. So it's bottled to that areva. Ava b'bayis chayv levar. But if it's in a home, if you have 2 pieces of dough sitting in your home, half a kazayas each, you have to do beer. My time or why? The zimran, the konishlu, the concern that perhaps he's going to sweep through his house and sweep together these 2 pieces of dough. V'nafli gabi adadi. And they'll encounter each other, they'll stick to each other, they'll be considered one and the same. Because zayis of Isser. So although we learned earlier in the Masechta that crumbs are not reckoned with, but here we're speaking about dough which can join together and create one glob of a shir kazayis. So you have to do bir chametz. Amarula. Bo b'marav. And to show they asked the following shayla. What if the 2 pieces are not sitting in the same room? Bais v'aliyamal. One is in the house, one is in the next floor. What is the halacha there? Do we have to be concerned that perhaps the half a kazayis is going to drop down from the 2nd floor and land right near the first piece? Or perhaps there's no such concern. Bais v'achsadramal. Let's say that we're not chayshish by the bais v'aliyah. What if you have one in the bais and one in the achsadra outside, this terrace outside, which services the house? Are we concerned that perhaps he's going to sweep things up all at once and bring them together? Bais v'achsadra mal. Now, suppose we are concerned there, because they're really one in the same area. Perhaps we'll make one big sweep and bring them together. If that's the case, shnei batim zel lifnei mizeh. Or if you have 2 separate rooms, one inside the other, serving 2 different functions, perhaps over there is no concern that he's going to make one big sweep on both rooms and bring them together. So what's the halacha? Are we concerned or not? Take it, we leave it unresolved. Tan Rabban, hapash she'ipsha. You have some bread which formed mold. V'nifsel me'echel adam. It's no longer suitable, fit for human consumption. But va'kelav, yachla echla. A dog can still eat it. So what's the halacha? Metama tumas echla. B'kabetza. It's still considered food. So let's say it's tameh and it has a shir kabetza. It can give over tumah to others. Because since it was once edible, it keeps its status. It's din of eichel as long as even a dog can eat it. Now when you go burn this chametz, you can burn it together with something which is tameh. So even if this thing is truma, you can go be metamet when burning it for Pesach, because in any case it's not really edible. So there's no isser to make it tameh. Meshum Rabbi Nassan Amru, the name of Nassan, they said, Eino matama. He holds that it's no longer matama to masechem because it's no longer roy lachilas adam. Kaman Azla Adasnan. Whose shita is reflected in the following Mishnah? Klal Omer b'Taharis. This was a rule regarding Taharis. Kolam Yuchad La'Eichel Adam. Something designated for Achilas Adam. Tamei remains Tamei ad Shipasa Melech Lekelev. Until it's no longer fit to be fed to a dog. So even though it's no longer right for the Adam, it still retains its Eichel status. Whose shita is this? Kaman. They're like Rab Nassan. Apparently it's not like Rab Nassan because he holds that once it's no longer edible for Adam, it's no longer metam. Tan Rabban, Areva Sa'avdanin. This trough, this bowl, used by the leather tanners and processors, Shenasan L'Seicha Kemach. So he placed some flour into this Areva, and now it's Pesach. Does he have to do Bir Chametz? Toich Shleisha Yomim Chavi Levar. If he placed it in there within the last 3 days, it's still considered fresh enough, and has a din of Chametz. He has to do Bir. Kodim Shleisha Yom in Chavi Levar. If you placed it in there more than 3 days ago, it's considered spoiled, and his bottle is not considered chametz. When is this set? When do we have to have that 3-day cutoff time? If he hadn't yet placed some oiris, some hides in this bowl, in which case we say, well, the fact that the flour is sitting in the bowl due to the reyach, the putrid smell coming out of this bowl, it spoils the flour, but it takes 3 days because there's no leather in there. But if you were to place some oiris in there, even if it was within 3 days ago that he put the flour in there, because the fact that he puts the oir in there, that itself instantly spoils that flour. Amarava, halacha Rab Nassan, indeed that's the halacha. Afilu yamechad, afilu sha'achas. Even if he placed the flour in this bowl within the last day or within the last hour, even just a small amount of time elapsed, it's still bottled because of the oir, which spoils the quality and the ability of that flour. Let's make a brief chazar of today's daf. So we learned that tam ki ikar is something which applies to any isser. Taste equals substance. Classic example mentioned in the Gemara: if you have wine-flavored water, a kazayis of that water brings about malchus for the nazir. It's considered like wine. Flavor is like the isser itself. That's agreed upon by all. It's applied to all isser. The question just is the source. According to Rabbanan, it's learned from Mishras by nazir and applied elsewhere. According to Rakiva, it's learned from the Guli Nachem, the pots of the Goyim. We see that the flavor of the isser is considered like isser. All agree when it comes to a carbon like a chatas, heter mitzdarf le'isser. Even the portion of heter is regarded like the portion of isser. It's mitzdarf together. Regarding nazir, according to Rakiva, yes. According to Chachamim, no. We proceeded with the Mishnah, which told us that if we have some dough embedded in the crack of a areva, of this kneading bowl, if it's a kazayis, you must remove it. If it's less than kazayis, it's bottom. And we have two versions of the Gemara. According to the first version, we go l'kula. If any one of these two favorable elements are present, small in size, less than kazayis, or even if it's large in size but it's properly located at the bottom of that bowl, meant to properly reinforce that kli, then it's bottle. So either or, either a small size or location. According to the second version, needs both aspects, small in size and properly located. We had Brisa number 1 and Brisa number 2, which pose a stira. And the way Abaye resolved the kasha was that both are following Shimon Elazar, who clearly holds that even a large-sized piece of chametz could be bottled if it was redesignated for a non-eating purpose. And the conclusion was that this bowl has 3 sections: the very bottom, which is meant to contain the water, the midsection, and the lip. The bottom section, according to Shimon Elazar, of course, is so important. It's so important to reinforce it, to plug those holes to prevent leakage, that even a large-sized piece of chametz is bottled. The midsection, which is meant to contain the dough, then if it's a small-sized piece of chametz embedded in the crevice, that's bottled, because it's also serving a function and purpose. Regarding a lip on top, it doesn't need to be reinforced, and anything there is not bottled. We learned that if a person has a large-sized piece of chametz, like a kupas asor, and he's miyachad liyeshiva, so again, according to Shimon Elazar, it's bottled. And according to Tanakama, it's not bottled unless he does a mas to indicate that it's being used for something else. plaster some plaster on it, and that changes the status of this sword. Who's the localfile? We have different versions in the Gemara. We learned that if we have two pieces of dough, each one a half a kazais, sitting in the walls of this areva, and there's a thread of dough connecting them, then if they can both be lifted by that thread, they're considered like a kazais. What if we have two pieces of dough sitting in a bias? We're concerned that perhaps due to the sweeping, he's going to sweep them together and connect them, therefore he has to do bir chametz. If one is the bias, one is the aliyah, one is inside, one is outside, one is in this room, one is the other room, we leave it take. We learned about pas she'ibsha, moldy bread, which is no longer roy lachilas adam, but roy lachilas kelev. According to Tanakama, it's still metamet to masechel, it retains its food status. According to Rav Nassan, it loses that status. We concluded regarding kemach, flour placed in the trough used by the leather tanners. So halacha as follows: if it was within 3 days, it's still fresh enough to be considered chametz. If it's past 3 days, it is batel because it got spoiled due to the reach coming from this kli. And they were concluded, if he put some oiros, some hide into this kemach, that affects it instantly, and is no longer considered chametz, and there's no concern regarding Pesach. Take care, atzlacha, Rabbah.